All right, I am here with Andy Van Fleet, the board president of Waterloo Fiber, and we are here in Lincoln Park,
Where it all began.
where it all began. How many years ago, Andy?
So 5 years ago, I met with Randy Pilkington in Lincoln Park, right here on this picnic bench, and he asked me to revive Waterloo Fiber. Actually, it was not called Waterloo Fiber at the time, but it was the telecom utility, which had gone into place in 2005 and then sat dormant for that time. So about 14 years it sat dormant for a variety of reasons. And he asked me in 2019 if I wouldn't mind picking it back up and try to revive the telecom utility, which is the biggest, at this time, it's the biggest public utility in the state of Iowa. But Randy asked me to look at the information that had been captured and had been provided to me from a historical perspective, and to see if I could revive the board. And here we are today. I can take you through like what has happened to get us to this point, but I am so excited that he asked me to do that, and I'm so excited that we've gotten through these 5 years and that we're actually having test customers hooked up to this amazing fiber utility that our community should feel so proud to have. It's a special thing that the community is able to participate in. So
All of that work finally feeling real.
it does feel real, absolutely. Yeah. So the first step was to revive the board in 2019, and so I met with Sharon Juwan, who was an instrumental part of bringing the utility to life, and she was the city council liaison, and she filled me in on some of the background of the utility, and then also met with the other board members, Rich Kurtenbach and Ted Bateman, who had been on the board, and then Randy Pilkington as well, to understand the historical perspectives, and then try to decide like what do we do, what are the next steps. So the first meeting was 5 minutes long, and we didn't have anything to discuss really, other than we're going to try to make this happen and make it a go of it. So it seems like an amazing amount of work has been accomplished since then, and I'm very proud of the board and proud of the team that's been created to get us to where we're at today. But the first step really was to do a survey, and we hired Amperage to do the survey to see, do the citizens of Waterloo still want this utility? And the survey data results were resounding yes. You know, for far too long, the incumbents that have been here have provided poor quality of service, very high cost of services, and the citizens of Waterloo spoke up through that survey and said, yes, we absolutely want our own fiber utility. So that was very positive momentum to propel us into the next part of the project, which was to then find a consultant that would be able to help us to build a plan. Like, what does that look like in terms of standing up a utility? So we interviewed 5 different consultants and decided ultimately on Magellan Advisors, who've been wonderful consultants to work with. There was a lot of work to do to determine with them the plan and not only just the logistics of the plan, but also the legalities of it as well. So hundreds and hundreds of hours were spent with Magellan and with our lawyers and accountants and financial people to determine the magnitude of this project and how we're going to make it successful.
Volunteer hours too, nonetheless.
Volunteer hours, yeah. So, it was a lot more work than I think any of us anticipated on it being, but it's I've got a lot of pride in where we've gotten to, and to watch the team at Waterloo Fiber be able to take on this critical initiative for our city and be able to do it with such power and emphasis on positivity and moving this forward has just been really rewarding to see, because for far too long the city of Waterloo has needed something like this for our citizens and for our businesses. To have low cost, quality, high speed internet has been great to see it actually come to fruition. So we worked really hard with Magellan Advisors, with our attorneys, and then turned our attention to funding sources. And so one of the great things is that we decided to go do a GeoBond referendum. And so there's $20 million in GeoBond referendum that was needed to help support the project. And in September of 2021, believe that date is right. That it might have been 22. But the citizens yet again had a chance to vote on whether they wanted to fund this project, their support for the project, but also then to fund the project as well. And the results came in with a resounding 84% positivity on the $20 million GeoBond referendum. So again, another step towards the right direction. We had the plan, then we had funding sources in terms of GeoBond, but then also what happened was we had other funding sources that were a result of COVID. So we had the American Rescue Plan Act dollars. About $26 to $27 million were dedicated to this project, which is a phenomenal amount. And then also the EDA grant, which is about $3 million. All that to say is about $30 million of grant funding has gone in to fund the $120 million project. So what that does for us is it helps to get our rates to an extremely low level. So a gig up and down on fiber, Waterloo fiber, is $69.95. No hidden fees, no planned increases, $69.95. Well, the incumbents charge twice that, and all that money goes outside of our community. So to be able to get our funding sources and get our pricing down to where it's at for a gig up and down, again, $69.95. But then if a resident wanted 10 gig, $109.95 is unbelievably inexpensive. And I think that people won't really realize the cost of that and the cost savings until they get hooked up and they realize, if at home I pay $135 a month right now for internet, and when we get hooked up to Waterloo Fiber, it'll be $70. That's about $700 per year savings. And I've been a resident of Waterloo for a long time, and if people live in their homes for, let's say, 10 years, $700 times 10 years is $7,000 for higher quality internet. It's going to save a lot of money. So really proud of that.
That's huge. So what is your guys' vision for this? What are you seeing?
We're so excited that it's 100% locally owned and locally operated. That's a very unique attribute of a internet utility, to be locally owned and operated. So what that means is it's 100% locally serviced, run, operated, every aspect of it. So when a new customer calls, they're going to call and talk to somebody that's downtown Waterloo, and then their chances are they may know that person, or their kids might play sports together, but it's going to feel Iowa nice because it is. It's not going to feel like you're just another customer. It's actually a neighbor or a friend in the community, which is great because for far too long people have been afraid to call into a customer service queue and then wait. It's just dreadful to wait 30 minutes, an hour, or whatever. So it's going to feel refreshing in terms of how you're handled as a customer, and in terms of getting set up for service, instead of hearing, oh, we'll be there 2 weeks from Tuesday between noon and 6 or whatever that might be, which is so inconvenient. You're going to have a much more clear perspective as a customer when somebody's going to come out and provide service to you. So the customer service is going to be an exceptional experience. And then in terms of the cost, which I've already mentioned, but we've really worked hard to drive down the costs of connectivity. So that's something that you won't feel really until you get hooked up as a customer and you realize, for far too long you may have been used to paying, like in my instance, $135 a month, then going down to $70 a month for triple the speed is going to feel like about a $700 difference annually. And I think that once the citizens and businesses in Waterloo get hooked up, then they'll realize the cost savings that they're going to be able to realize. Those are real dollars that they can put back into their pockets. But then also, there's real dollars that can be allocated in the community. So the utility can actually operate profitably. And once we service the debt and can operate profitably, that profit can go to do other things in our community. It can help beautify parks. It can help to buy new fire trucks or EMS equipment or whatever the board and city council deems necessary with those funds. But those dollars are going to stay right here and help beautify the city in lots of different ways. And that's something that far too long the incumbents have been taking money out of our community. And now citizens of Waterloo have a choice to switch over to Waterloo Fiber, have locally owned, locally operated internet services at a much higher speed, much lower cost, and all those dollars stay right here.
That's awesome. And I know the mayor has a huge vision for smart city initiatives, all of the economic development it's going to bring downtown. Can you talk about that a little bit?
He has had a tremendous vision for Waterloo. So the city backbone is what we call it, but every street light and all the EMS equipment and cameras and everything in the city will be connected to this system as well. And that will really help to optimize our city and turn it into a smart city. And there's lots and lots of different technologies that we'll be employing to help our city become a smart city, which will also help reduce costs. There will be additional sensors at sewer lift stations and non-great things to talk about, but it'll certainly optimize the functions of the city in ways that have been very manual up to this point. So that'll also help to reduce costs in our city as well.
That's awesome. So it is July 2024. It has taken how many years to get here?
5 years. So 5 years ago, I sat in Lincoln Park here with Randy Pilkington, and since then I've put about 2,000 volunteer hours into this. And our board has done a tremendous job, volunteer hours as well. That's Amy Wienans, Rich Kurtenbach, Ted Bateman, and Michael Young, with the city council liaison being Rob Nichols. And they have worked tirelessly to get us to where we're at today. And so those 5 years have had a lot of bumps in the road, a lot of ups and downs, but anything worth doing of this magnitude is going to be hard. And I'm really thankful for each of their contributions to the board and to this initiative to get to where we're at.
Let's see. So as of today, we have 10 live test customers. How does that feel that it is 5 years ago? This was just a dream.
It was just a dream 5 years ago, and it's been amazing to see the number of drill crews and trucks that have Waterloo Fiber logos on them, and seeing how hard the crews are working to get to that point where we have now 10 live customers on the system. That's great. I mean, if you told me 5 years ago it was going to take this long to get here, I wouldn't have believed you, but obviously it's that big of a project that it took this long to get to where we're at. So it feels great. I'm excited about where we're headed. At the end of this year, it's going to be amazing to look at all the customers that we have hooked up and to get the positive feedback that, I'm anticipating that we're going to get from all those different customers, because this is going to be fiber utility unlike anything that our citizens have seen yet.
We're still just getting started.
Yes, we are. Yeah.
Well, thank you, Andy. I really appreciate you taking the time. It's going to be great to have this on our blog and to be able to look back and just see the vision 5 years from now, 10 years from now, what we're doing for the city and the foundation that you guys laid. So I really appreciate that. Thank you.
Thank you, Erin.